The names that I'm going to name, I do it freely, I do it boldly, I do it happily, I don't do it begrudgingly, are names that are already, if you look us up on the internet and you try to research us, very likely their names will come up. I'm not putting it out there first. They have already done it. And even if that wasn't the case, I would still really have the liberty to do it because they need it. But I'm just saying that I have it, but I'm doing it for that cause. They're already out there. I've got a list of 11 names I'm going to talk about. Ben Hartley, there's a reason I named him first. He likes to pose as an intellectual. I talked to him on the phone. I have even recently, within days ago. He even likes to present himself as a very fair person, though it's extremely hypocritical. If he can't understand how it works, he doubts it exists. That's the truth. He has went from Christendom to atheism to, I don't know what he is now. Who has basically, now I don't recall if he was actually and absolutely the very first. He may have been. But if not, he is kind of the father of all the gainsaying on social media. He is responsible personally. And I have told him as much so very recently. For all the hate, all the death threats. The man that was out there just a bit ago with his sign out on the street just today, I don't know if he's still out there or not. That's his son in their faith. And though he hates, or would at least portray that he hates the hatred, secretly and privately, he entirely agrees. And I would say encourages. While presenting himself as a level, cool-headed savior to the problem that he created. He can be an atheist. This is America. No problem. I'm not going to his house and screaming at him. I have not started Facebooks. We haven't started Facebooks blasting him for being an atheist. We are not doing that. He does that. That's right. Adam Paymer is his son in their faith. Brooks Coble, who doesn't know us, is contrary to all men. He's just contrary to all men. Andrew Bourne have recently said that we were sneaking around his house, that the apostles was at his house, listening through his door and peeking in his windows. I don't know who he thinks he is. I don't know where he lives. Somewhere around here, I'm told. I don't know where he lives. I haven't looked it up. I don't care where he lives, and I'll assure you that that's an imagination. Yes, sir. He talked about his gun that he had. The next time we sneak up to his house, he was going to shoot us. We've never been there. Robert Bourne, his father, who fell away, became involved in illicit relationships, suddenly has all the wisdom in exposing us. Amazing. David Byler, of which his family is here, that are love and have high respect amongst us. His wife Lauren, who is a daughter to Robert Bourne. Had one problem. First of all, I'll say that if there's ever a beautiful royal family, it's the Byler family. I'd be proud to be a Byler. Sister, I appreciate your hand going up. You should just do that. I'd be proud of Brother Daniel. If he was my daddy, I'd be proud to have him as my daddy. These young people had one problem. It's that 3-word problem. After sneaking off into private motel rooms, after the inability to even be faithful to one another in that sneaking, it's the truth. They leave saying we're a cult. This is the truth. And I could go on and on. I'm purposely not. I'm just touching. A young man named Stephen Cox, of which his family is also amongst us, that are a good family, solid, love the Lord, highly respected. Is probably a sociopath liar, sexually deluded, has been kicked out of every school except ours, and we should have, but we just didn't, and have went away making up stories about those who loved him and tried to help him. Stories that were beyond even the law, the limit of the law, in so much that some of the brethren got a lawyer to send him a letter and said, if you keep this up, I'll see you in court. Because it was disgusting. Not only is it not true here, it may be true there. John and Janet Graffenried, some of the biggest fakes that I know. They have lived a life and made money on the assumption or on the presentation of a good family. They have portrayed themselves as a happy family, though I happen to know the behind scenes that it's not true. They've done it for money, primarily. Primarily. They do not know how to have personal relationships. They have none. And still not. Not with us and not anybody else. They only have buddy relationships. They have fallen away totally in every way, changed completely, went the way of the world and entirely, although they're not really very good worldly ones. I contacted just in the last 2 or 3 days his father just to ask him if he was happy with the fruits of his labors concerning his children, and he assures me that he is. James de Graffenried, not to give up personal information, but lived in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and couldn't get along with Brother O'Shea on anything. If you said the sky was blue, he would debate that. If the grass was green, that was in question. He finally fell away in an illicit relationship, moved away and got married for the second time. He comes back and sits in judgment of things that have happened while he was gone. Jeremy Abbott tried to run off with a 17-year-old exactly half his age. That was condoned by his brother-in-law, John DeGraffenreid. When we laid judgment on that, all of a sudden he became a religious leader. Viola Miller was a loose woman. We did all we could to help her and her family, of which she was boss. Her husband, Sam, is truly oppressed. Truly. While they were married and professing godliness, on 2 occasions, she behaved extremely inappropriate with young black men amongst us. And she goes away, inviting all the young men to her house for deliverance. This is the truth. And fills the internet about how bad we are. Now, if you think this is too much, we can come back tonight and I give you a lot more. I am withholding. I am being reserved. Very much reserved. These are lewd fellers of the baser sort, setting in judgment of holy men and women who is striving to serve the Lord the best we know how. Filling the internet. And the moment someone replies on the internet like, that ain't true, and then all of a sudden I get calls, you all shouldn't be fighting back, and put down your arms. That happened this week. I got that call, well, last week. Put down your arms. Put down your arms. Let's take a cool approach. And I say, what do you mean? You're the one screaming and saying all kinds of lies about us that aren't true. And all of a sudden, one of our sisters just put out a little thing and said, no, this ain't true. This is the way it really is. And all of a sudden, we're the bad ones. I say, you hypocrite. And I will say we've just begun, because I might not be good on Facebook, but we got some folks in here that is. And if you want to deceive the hearts and the minds of individuals, and you want to wrap and take away our young people to your kind of lifestyle, then the fight's on. No bars on our doors. If our young people want to leave, they can just leave. There ain't nothing we can do about that. We encourage them not to and plead with them not to. And when they decide to do it, tell them, well, if you ever want to get right, you know where to come. But to have you to entice them to give up their purity, to throw away their chance even in this life,